Yahuwah, Elohim, Yahuwah, Echad. Shalom, shalom, Shabbat shalom. Welcome to the Ark of the Covenant Assembly.
When I say Shema, I want you to point and say one thing. Israel. Hallelujah. Y'all hear me, right? When I say Shema, you're going to point at someone and say Israel. All right? All right. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2. Follow response. Shema.
Israel. Yahuwah. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody. Yeah. Can you check that and make sure I have it on right so I can get comments? Yes. Because remember, I didn't do that right last week. Yeah. What are you doing, hon? I asked you to do something and you're walking.
I'm on YouTube seeing it. So everybody just heard that.
I hear me laughing. Nothing worse than hearing yourself sing. I'm in there like, that's me. At least I wasn't going, yeah!
Was this at the conference? What was it?
This was down in Georgia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were in Georgia. We were getting.
They get down.
Yeah, they kicked us out. They told us that for whatever reason we had to go. There was more people than they thought were going to show up, and they were basically like, we're going to ask you guys to leave. We're like, what? We knew who were coming. You knew how many were coming. They saw all those Hebrews. We were on the wrong side of the track. So we're like, okay, let's give them a Shema Israel on our way out. And we rocked the place. We had the glass vibrating. Robin, I asked you to do something for me, and I don't have an answer yet. You can make comments on it? That's what I was asking. Remember I said I couldn't make comments on it last week because I was... Oh, I see. All right, thank you. You answered my question. I just wanted to know that I do this right. Thank you. Shema, Shema. Shema, Shema, Shema. I knew I was on beat because my homie over here, I saw him do this. I was like, yes, I'm in tune. Hallelujah. I saw the head nod. It was a confirmation. Hallelujah. Hey, hey, hey. Listen to the sax. Wow. Sound good, though?
That's our concert.
Go ahead, Elder. Let's hear you. I hear him. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. That's how we're getting started today. Shema Israel, Yahuwah Elohim. Oh, I'm getting feedback. All right. Shema Israel, Yahuwah or Elohim is one, and thou shalt love the Yahweh thy Elohim with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thy heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou walkest in thy house, when I sittest in thy house, and when I walkest by the way, and when I liest down, and when I rise up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hands, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes, and thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house and upon thy gates. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Shema Israel, Yahuwah Eliheka, Yahuwah Akkad. Hallelujah. No multiple gods up in the kingdom. I am so I guess I'm ready. I'm hyped about today because we're going to talk about something that I've often thought about, but I don't think we've ever really talked about. Since there seems to be so much chaos and we're trying to learn to live right, but there's chaos everywhere. So I'm like, okay, let's find the root. Most of us have come to the point that we realize that things in my life just aren't right. So I'm going to go to an AA meeting.
I wasn't ready for you to say that.
All right. Things just aren't right in my life. So I'm going to join this cult. Or I'm going to, I need all the people that are survivors of this calamity that happened have all come together, and now they're having a time where we all get together, and that's going to help me. Well, all of these situations that you join, they may help a little bit, but the root of the problem is that you're not dealing with the root of the problem. And some of the problems that you have go deep. They go deep. They go so deep. You have to. I remember going to a counselor once, and he says, "It's your turn. I would like for you to give me a synopsis of your family. Like, just tell me about your upbringing, and tell me about your mommy, and tell me about your daddy, and tell me about your how you were brought up." And I was like, what in the world does that have to do with me? Your root is deeper than you. Your root is your history. A lot of our problems are brought into us from something that we have that our parents have sowed, and we are now the showing that we are reaping the sins of our parents. That's why the scripture actually tells us to pray for the forgiveness of ourselves, but also the sins that were placed in us through our ancestors. And sometimes if we don't root out the problem, we move out of a bad situation into a worse situation because we just haven't realized that it wasn't her that was giving you the problem as you leave that marriage and go into the new one. It's you. And sometimes it's a combination, but you have to look in your own closet and find your own mess and unroot some of that mess. And so Israel is always yelling about, look what they did to us now. Look what they're doing to us now. Look what they're doing. Look, slow it down, because Israel, we've caused our own calamity. And so today I want to look at our root. I know I asked you to turn to 19, but let's go back to 17. Speaking to Benjamin, Telahim 17. And as we turn to that, let's cry. Because It starts out with, hear the right, O Yahweh, attend unto the cry, and hear, and give ear unto our prayer. Yahweh, we come before you. We praise your name, Yah, for being who you are, the creator of all things, the founder of us, Yah, the one who has called us, set us apart, and not only set us apart, but also created a covenant between us, Yah. And that we pray, Yah, that you would help us to walk in that covenant. We have been so disobedient. We acknowledge our disobedience. We acknowledge the disobedience of our forefathers, and we ask that you forgive us, and that you will wash us and cleanse us, and create in us a right spirit, Yah, that we would be able to worship you in spirit and in truth. Bless the people that are gathered here via the internet, through Zoom, through YouTube, and the ones that are sitting before us, Yah, that we all be able to partake in truth and walk away feeling gratified that we spent a moment in your presence, Yah, that you satisfy the soul, the hunger that's in us, to worship you in spirit and in truth, Yah. Bless the ones that are here, the families that are here, the families that are growing spiritually and physically, Yah. We pray that you will continue to be with us and anoint us afresh. May your Ruach come, rest, rule, and abide in our spirits right now. May the words that we speak be words that edify your people. May the words that as we share with each other, may the words that we share with each other be words that edify and unify your body. May you be glorified and be edified, and may we be just found in alignment with you. In the name of Yahushua, your only begotten Son, we do praise you and we worship you in his name. And hallelujah to the fact that we can call upon you. You said we can boldly come before the thrones of grace, Yah, and then receive that which you've given to us. Hallelujah. We praise your name. Hallelujah. 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 All right, Benjamin. Telahim, Psalms 17.
Okay. So, should I start right now?
Sure.
Okay. Psalms, chapter 19, verse 1.
Oh, 17. Drop down 2 chapters.
Oh, chapters. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Psalms, chapter 17, verse 1. Hear a just cause, O Yah. Attend to my cry. Give ear to my prayer, which is not from deceitful lips. Let my vindication come from your presence. Let your eyes look on the things that are upright. You have tested my heart. You have visited me in the night. You have tried me and have found nothing. I have purposed that my mouth shall not transgress concerning the works of men by the word of your lips. I have kept away from the paths of the destroyer. Uphold my steps in your paths, that my footsteps may not slip. I have called upon you, for you will hear me, O Yah. Incline your ear to me and hear my speech. Show your marvelous loving kindness by your right hand. O you who save those who trust in you, from those who rise up against them.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. I want to interrupt. Pardon the interruption. You have tried me and proved me and found nothing. Now, this is so good. He says, he starts out with, I am a man right now. I'm talking to you with, and there's no deceit in my language. And you know me, and you've tried me, and you found me to be a perfect man. This is where we need to try to get to, and not just once a month or once a year during feast days. We got to get to this point that if Yah is trying you, that you are every day walking is showing yourself to be righteous, blameless. Like Yah's expecting that. He's not expecting you like, oh, I done messed up again. I gotta go and ask for forgiveness again. No, you should be like challenged by the challenge. Like every time you go into a battle, the battle should be like, all right. And when you're done, you should be, okay, Yah, what's next? We get scared from the challenge. And then we falter as opposed to being successful in our walk. We become forever stumbling. You only get better as an athlete by playing better people. And the bigger the challenge, no one likes to win against an inferior competition. You don't want to fight somebody who just broke his hand the night before and he gets in the ring with you and he can't hit you with the one hand. Yes, you may win that battle, but then when you realize that he had a broken hand, you're like, that wasn't fair. You realize that's not fair. You don't want to get into a championship game and you can't play against the best because the best is sitting on the sideline. No, you want the challenge. That's what a righteous man wants. He allows the fight, the battle. He wants the battle. Like you don't want to fight Goliath because Goliath got a broken leg. No, bring me everything you got. And that's the kind of boldness that you ought to have. You ought to display. Verse 8. Guard me as the apple of your eye. Read.
Psalms chapter 17, verse 8. Keep me as the apple of your eye. Hide me under the shadow of your wings. From the wicked who oppress me, from my deadly enemies who surround me. They have closed up their fat hearts. With their mouths they speak proudly. They have now surrendered us in our steps. They have set their eyes, crouching down to earth, as a lion is eager to tear his prey, and like a young lion lurking in secret places. Arise, O Yah, confront him, cast him down. Deliver my life from the wicked with your sword, with your hand from men, O Yah, from men of the world who have their portion in this life, and whose belly you fill with your hidden treasure. They are satisfied with children, and leave the rest of their possession for their babes. As for me, I will see your face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I awake in your likeness.
When I what? When I awake in your likeness. When you're a righteous man and you're being attacked, you ought to come to the realization that you can't win. You can't win. You can't beat this. And pardon me, because I'm really believing that one of these Psalms, and perhaps Psalm 17, is probably one of my favorites. So I'll probably keep coming back here. So every now and then, maybe you should stop and say, Elder, we just read that last week. But if you are really in walking upright, you see what's going on around you, you realize you can't win. You know you can't win. So I have a little 6P shooter, and you got tanks. But for my invisible force behind me gives me the ability to come out victorious. If you learn to trust in Yah and let Yah be the warrior that he is, you can win every battle. You can win every battle. You have to refocus, like Isaiah and his protege, and he's like, we can't beat them. He's like, open his eyes. He can't see. And when he opened his eyes and he saw up on the hills all the angels just standing there waiting in battle array, ready to destroy the enemy. So today, let's go. We're gonna rush through the scripture real quick. Since we're going to finish up our Lamentations, chapter 5. Remember, we were walking through Lamentations, and Lamentations, we already took that is written by Jeremiah, and he was lamenting over the destruction of his people, and he put an emphasis on the women, how they were being abused. And so Lamentations we're finishing this chapter up. It's a short chapter, and it led us into Jubilees. Man, I can't wait to get to Jubilees. So let's go. Somebody read, please. Anybody?
I read?
Sure.
All right.
Come over here so that when you read, they can hear you.
Okay. Lamentations 5, right?
Yes.
Okay. Remember, O Yahuwah, what has come upon us. Look and see our reproach. Our inheritance has been turned over to strangers, and our houses to foreigners. We have become orphans, fatherless. Our mothers are like widows. We had to pay for our drinking water, and our wood comes at a price. We have been pursued close onto our neck. We have labored and had no rest.
Does anybody see something strange here? Doesn't this sound kind of weird? I keep getting a bill every month. Every month I get a bill. They're charging me for water. The scripture's right here talking about a people, and this is not just us, just the Hebrews, but we all in America, in the wonderful USA, freedom of what do they call it, capitalism. We'll figure out a way that we're going to make sure you pay for the water. They'll make you pay for the air if they could, right? So we as Hebrews, as me, find it offensive that you're making me pay for water like I can put a hole in the ground. Literally, you can put a hole. You can put a hole in the ground. Fresh water come out. No, you can't. What do you mean I can't? In my township, where I grew up as a ward of the state, and one of the greatest feelings that I've had, as I used to be a runner, I used to go out and run, and I would run miles. And when I would come back, we had a pump. We had one of those old school pumps. And then once you got it primed and you got water out, after running 3 or 4 miles in the summer when it's like really hot, there's nothing more rewarding than fresh well water. It's different than this. You know why I drink out of bottled water? Because I don't trust the water. Now, this may not be perfect, but I don't trust the water that they try to make you drink. But right here in the text, it says they're making us pay for our water. And in the United States of America, you have cities where the drinking water is so pathetic, especially pointed and directed to Hebrews. It's contaminated. And so the people are bringing in water to give them to drink because the water that they're trying to feed them is death. Verse 6. Verse 6.
To Mitzrayim we have given a hand, to Ashur to be satisfied with bread. Our fathers have sinned, they are no more. We have borne their crookedness. Servants have ruled over us. There is no one to deliver them from their hand. With our lives we bring in our bread, because of the sword of the wilderness. Our skin has become as hot as an oven because of the burning heat of scarcity of food.
Oh, wait a minute. Verse 10, did it say that we would be black? Did you just read something about verse 10? What read 10 again?
Our skin has become as hot as an oven.
Okay.
Because of the burning heat of scarcity of food.
So you have a horrible text translation.
Yeah, it's a different translation.
I can hardly hear him, by the way.
Oh, you have to speak up. They said they can hardly hear you.
Should I read verse 10 again?
Go back to 5.
Okay.
Tell me if you can hear him. I'm turning up the mic.
Okay. We have been pursued close unto our neck. We have labored and had no rest. To Mitzrayim we have given a hand, to assure sure to be satisfied with bread. Our fathers sinned, they are no more. We have borne their crookedness. Servants have ruled over us. There is no one to deliver them from their hand. With our lives we bring in our bread because of the sword of the wilderness.
So verse 7 says, our fathers have sinned and are not, they're dead, but we have bore their iniquities. Because they lived crooked, we got the results of it. You get that?
Yeah.
See, now, how old are you?
14.
He's 14. Now, if he can get this, I'm sure you can get that. I'm sure you understand because your parents were living foul, you now have to experience the foulness, you're reaping the rewards of their foulness. You know, you can relieve, you can have children, and when you die, you can give them a blessing. This is what we were mandated for us to do, leave an inheritance. So when we leave, we should leave our children in a better state than they were when we began. But if we live foul, our children will receive even worse. I know, I've seen this. I've seen people who live foul in their life, begat children, and now their children are living the result of, it's not a song, even though we sang about it like it's something fascinating. Papa was a rolling stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his home. Well, okay, so we make a cute little jingle of it, but there's nothing funny about that. It's actually an atrocity that our children have to live out a life worse than what we lived. And we just don't get it because we are now broken. And then when we get to 10, it says our skin was black like the oven because of the terrible famine which we occurred. And I shared this last week, when you look back and you see some of the pictures of some of the slaves, they got darker as they got older because their skin got blacker. We talked about this last week. There's too many signs, clues, evidence that we are the people. Over and over again. All right, let's go. 7. Where are we at?
I think I stopped.
All right, 11.
All right. They have been humbled. They have humbled the women in Zion.
That mean they raped them. Okay. All right.
Should I start over with 11?
Still can't hear.
Oh, my bad.
Are you covering up your
The mic's up here, right?
Oh.
All right, I just have to be a little louder.
Be a little louder.
All right, verse 11. They have humbled the women in Zion, the maidens in the city of Yehuda. Rulers were hung up by their hands, and elders were not respected. They have taken young men to grind, and youth stumbled under loads of wood. Elders have ceased from the gate, young men from their song. The joy of our heart has ceased. Our dancing has turned into mourning. The crown has fallen from our head. Woe to us, for we have sinned. Because of this, our heart has been sick. Because of these, our eyes have become dim.
The crown has been taken from our head. Deuteronomy 28. You will be the head if you're obedient. If you're not obedient, I got to remove the crown. Disobedience. That's what oh my goodness, what's the word I'm looking for? That's what sin is. more transgression. Thank you. That's what transgression is. The more our family, our people have been transgressing the law, the more the crowns have been taken off of our heads. We become the tail, not the head. Continue.
All right, I'll start at verse 17.
Verse 17.
Because of this, our heart has been sick. Because of these, our eyes have become dim. Because of Mount Zion, which is laid waste, foxes have gone roaming in it. You, O Yahuwah, remain forever, your throne from generation to generation. Why do you forget us forever, forsake us for length of days? Turn us back to you, O Yahuwah, and let us turn back. Renew our days as of old. Renew our days as of old. For you have completely rejected us. For have you completely rejected us? You have been wroth with us exceedingly.
Verse 21. Turn unto us, O Yahuwah, and we shall be turned. Renew our days as of old. Okay. What does that mean? Renew us our days as of old. Anybody help me?
I think it means like they want to go back to when they were pure, like back when people were following the commandments.
You aced it.
Thank you.
You want to go back to when everything was right. When everything was everything was just perfect. When you could call on Yah and Yah would answer. When you were the kings and the queens, when you were the prize, the apple of his eye, as we just read in the other text. Telahim 17. So let's go. Jasher. Here.
No, I'm
Because I don't have Jasher on this.
You gotta speak up.
Wait, I have Jasher on my phone. Yeah, here.
Oh, you have it?
Yes, sir.
Jasher. You see this, right? And I gotta put an M on there. I should have had an M there. Abiram Mispaka. Okay, so that's what we claim. That's what we walk. And as that, we want to go back to the set apart people when they were set apart for Yah before all this calamity happened. Bereshiyth, in the beginning. What does the word Genesis mean? Somebody help me out with the word Genesis.
Like
Google it.
it means like the beginning of something or start.
Google it. Google. Somebody Google Genesis. I need help.
Okay, it says, hold on. It says the origin or mode of formation of something.
Okay, the origin, mode, or form of something. Does it say anything else?
Or coming into being of something.
The coming into being. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That pretty much covers what. I seen him pulled out the big one. Bereshiyth.
It doesn't actually mean in the beginning either. It's like at the summit or something like that. It means
All right.
in the summit.
In the summit.
That's the word I was looking for.
I used to go to visit my daughter who was in college, and there was a spot they called the Summit between Altoona and Indiana, Pennsylvania. The Summit was, you remember that place? The Summit was the highest point, one of the highest points in Pennsylvania. So you could have a little bit of a snow, going there, but you may not be able to get past the summit to get to Indiana, because whenever there was a little snow up there, it was a lot of snow. And so they got snowed in. Matter of fact, her graduation didn't occur because of the summit, because it was so much snow. So Bereshiyth, what does Bereshiyth mean?
In the summit.
The same thing, Bereshiyth?
Yeah, Bereshiyth.
In the beginning?
If you want a literal translation, it's in the summit.
For Bereshiyth and Genesis?
Yes.
They both have
Genesis
the same?
1:1.
Right.
The literal translation for that is in the summit.
In the summit. So when they say summit, when they say Genesis, then they're saying summit.
Oh, you're talking about the people who named that book, Genesis?
Yes.
I don't know exactly what they were thinking, but
Okay. Hold your finger right there, right? And where are we at? Joshua, the 2nd chapter. So that's quick. Let's go back. I need you guys to come with me real quick. Let's go to Bereshiyth 1.
that's where I'm at.
Okay, let's read. Read the first 6 verses. We're talking about the first day.
Should I read it?
Yeah, she's going to read.
Okay. In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Ruach Elohim moved upon the face of the waters. And Elohim said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And Elohim saw the light, that it was good, and Elohim divided the light from the darkness. And Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day.
Okay, so that's the first day. We're going to be bouncing back and forth here. The simplest of texts is the most complex text, because this says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. That's how they usually read in the King James, right? So we read it, and it's a complex episode placed with a very simplistic wording. This is not just like creating a car. It's creating the universe and everything about it. And so it starts out with, there was darkness upon the face of the deep. It was void. It was without form. It was just something that you really can't even imagine. But you know what we try to do? We try to work our imagination station up, and we try to figure it all out. So some people say, well, it right there says it was Elohim. Elohim is plural, so there's multiple gods who were doing this. Okay, there's a lot going on here, a whole lot. And Elohim created the day and the darkness. He also called night. So here we do know something about day and night is happening in the middle of all this void. The first thing he starts doing is taking something that's real chaotic, that's without form, that is like, and then he says, let's start separating this. And he pulls all of the dark over here and all the light. And how he does it, only Yah can tell you. But he creates what's called day, and he creates what's called night. And he says, this is all considered one day. All right, let's go. Jasher. Because eventually he's going to get to the point where he creates man. So let's go. I think when we read through certain things in Revelations, you've got to jump back forth to Daniel and go back and forth. So this one, we may be going back and forth to Bereshiyth as we see fit. You got this?
Yes, sir.
All right. Be loud.
Chapter 2, Jasher.
Yes.
Okay. And it was in the 130th year of the life of Adam upon the earth that he again knew his wife, Eve his wife. And she conceived and bare a son in his likeness and in his image. And she called his name Seth, saying, because Yah has appointed me another seed in the place of Abel, for Cain has slain him. And Seth lived 105 years, and he begat a son. And Seth called the name of his son Enosh, saying, because in that time the sons of men began to multiply, to afflict their souls and hearts by transgressing and rebelling against Elohim.
Let's back up, because we jumped 130 years into creation. Let's go back to 1. And I know we did this before, we were here before, but we have to go back there. And Elohim said, chapter 1.
Hold on. Okay. Chapter 1. And Elohim said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. And Elohim created man in his own image. And Elohim formed man from the ground, and he blew into his nostrils the breath of life. And the man became a living soul, and endowed with speech. And
Okay,
said,
so he starts out with, and we would have to go back to Genesis and read a little bit more, or Bereshiyth, where we'll get to the point where he created man. So he creates man here, and he says, let us create him in our own image. And after the likeness and of Elohim created man in his own image. So the first thing that I would ask, if I was trying to answer the investigate this text, I mean, what does the image of Yah look like? If he created man in the likeness of his image, what does that look like? Because when we see man, we see multitudes of figures on the outside, and they can't all be in his image, right? Because they all look different. Unless we're talking about something deeper than just the outward appearance of man.
I think it means more like
Speak up.
I think when they say in his image, I think it means more like his self-awareness, almost like, because when he created animals aren't as self-aware. They sort of just do what they're meant to do. Men were
Okay, so that's one. There's his self-awareness.
and able to like choose what we want to do.
Able to choose. What else did he do with what else could you say that looks like the image of?
He gave him authority.
He gave him authority.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they have authority to rule.
Mm-hmm.
They have authority over, and as you go forward, if you go into the book of what's the next Jasher, what's the other book? The other apocrypha, Jubilees. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to Jubilees, you'll see that man had authority and had learned to not only have authority over a man, but had learned to have authority over spirits, which was one of the things that Yah says, okay, enough is enough, and caused the flood, because man started learning to have authority over and rule over certain spirits. Okay, so that he had authority.
He also
He had what?
and verse 2 it says a living soul and speech.
And
speech.
Okay, he has speech. Did anything else have speech?
Not in the same way, because we can directly communicate with Elohim in our language. So
Okay, we'll challenge that. Okay, but let's move on. So he formed man from the ground. He blew into his nostrils, and man became a living life or a living soul, right? And he endowed him with speech. So there was something about this creature from the outward appearance. We know that if he represented Yah, the one thing that we can identify is that he was called Adam from the dust, from the dirt. So we know the complexity of him. We know that he had certain abilities, attributes, and we knew that he, and one of them was speech, and he also had authority. So let's see, let's investigate. We're going slow on purpose. Verse 3.
And Yahuwah said, "It is not good for man to be alone. I will make unto him a helpmeet." And Yahuwah caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took away one of his ribs, and he built flesh upon it, and formed it, and brought it to Adam. And Adam awoke from his sleep, and behold, a woman was standing before him.
Okay, how long did that happen?
What do you mean? How long did it take to happen?
Yes, like, if you go into surgery, they tell you that, remember you were in surgery and they said, we'll have you out in a couple hours. And I was franticing because it was twice as long, and it was scary because of they didn't cut her open. What's taking them so long, right? So how long was this surgery? Because I know how I think in my mind.
Maybe 12 hours. It could have been because it said a deep sleep.
A deep sleep. Well, when they put you in a coma state, when they are working on you, they put you to sleep. You're like,
you can't feel it.
No, you're out. So he was in a deep sleep. But how long do you think this occurred? I'm gonna tell you how I originally thought about this. I thought it was maybe about 12 o'clock, noon, right? Mm-hmm. And he put him to sleep. And about 1 o'clock later, he woke up and he had a little side thing on the side. He's like, "What is that?" And he's like, "Oh," and he saw Eve. He's like, and she was, "Oh my goodness, look what I got, woman!" And he got excited, right? But in the scripture, it actually gives you a more intricate detail. Let's go to Genesis. Back to Bereshiyth. Where do we leave off at that? We were in chapter 1. Let's have fun with the script. And we're gonna read this until we get down to the creation of her.
I think we just got to verse 5.
Yeah, we were just exactly. The book, the history book, is actually it should be intriguing. It should be like, wow, look at this, look at that. As you look at if you're doing a family tree, right? And it's 2021. If you start doing a family tree and you start finding some of the history, what's the guy's name? Louis Gates. He does it with people, and you see them like, oh, what next? Tell me. Oh, because it's their family. And they are intrigued by what, oh, my grandpa did that. Really? Well, you need to have that feeling towards this. It should be like, oh, especially since you know the people. Watch. Where am I at? 33, 20, 49. Back to 1, right? Okay. Verse. You stay at.
Yeah,
you stay over there, and then you pick up Genesis. We're going to go down to when he created her.
That's not in chapter 1.
Yes, in chapter.
It's
in chapter 2.
verse-
Okay, so let's drop down. Let's drop down to chapter 2. Okay. After he had created the heavens and the earth, and they were all finished, and all the hosts was in them. Okay, chapter 1. I mean, verse 1.
Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day Elohim ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And Elohim blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which Elohim created and made. These are the generations of the heavens and the earth when they were created, in the day that Yahweh Elohim made the earth and the heavens. And every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. For Yahweh Elohim had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. But there went up a mist from the earth, and watered the whole face of the ground. And Yahweh Elohim formed the man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living soul.
Okay. Hold your point and drop back to chapter 1 and start at verse 26, please. Where did you stop at? You just finished that verse, and man became a living soul.
Right. Is that 7?
Verse, the end of 7. Okay. So go back to 1 and 26.
And Elohim said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth. So Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of Elohim created he him. Male and female created he them. And Elohim blessed them, and Elohim said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth and subdue it.
Okay, so there's something here. Now I had to bring you back.
I see something.
What do you see?
He told them to replenish the earth as if it had been replenished at one time before, and now he wants them to replenish it.
I need you to do me a favor since you brought that up. Find that word replenish in your Hebrew book.
Is that the first commandment? First rule?
Yes. To be fruitful and multiply. Now, I can't take you to.
Wait, I'm kind of confused.
Yes.
So wait, but
I love it. He says he's kind of confused.
so here he tells man and woman to rule over the earth and things, but he doesn't make them until the next chapter.
Very good. So he's like, wait a minute, I'm kind of confused. This is one of those chapters that you should be, or
Is this just like a summary? Is the first chapter just a summary of what happens later?
All right,
Go ahead. Hold that thought.
The literal translation is, and Elohim exalted them, and Elohim said to them, reproduce and increase, and fill the land and subdue her, and rule in the fish of the sea, and in the flyers of the skies, and in all the living ones treading upon the land. So this is not a really good translation.
The one that says replenish.
Yes.
So what did you just read?
He just told them to reproduce.
Reproduce.
Yes.
So it's
Because when I read
the
that,
question is, and you're going to hear this question over and again. Someone just asked me. I'm confused. It's like he didn't even create anybody yet, but then it says that he created them. And then is chapter 2 like is number 1, chapter 1 just a summary of what's going to happen?
It's like a preface, like in the beginning of a book.
Yeah, the preface out there, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And some people say that. And I scratch my head right there. And I think, okay, maybe you're right, but maybe you're not. Because there's other texts that make me question, like, did y'all create and then have to recreate? And now he's telling his people to reproduce or replenish.
But
Well, we don't.
But he was happy with what he created in
Right,
chapter
it's-
1.
he
So
said
why
that
would
it was
he?
good.
It was good. So why would he then want to?
and on top of that, and
So-
at the end of chapter 1, it says there the evening there became to the evening and then the morning and the 6th day. And then chapter 2 picks up and it was the 7th day, which would lead you to believe that one's coming after the other.
Right.
But he just said, man, go forth and be fruitful. But he created man on the 7th day, supposedly going by chapter 2. So I don't.
Okay.
It's like
So let's go. Let's go.
Well, the other thing too is when I think about sometimes how this is written. I mean, whoever actually wrote it. If you think about it, because the Bible's oral, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when someone is telling you a story, before they go into detail, they're like, "Oh, let me tell you what happened," and they tell you kind of quickly, and then they break down what they were saying. So I'm kind of wondering if it's that thing, like in a nutshell. Let me just tell you what happened, and then they go back and give you all the gore details. It doesn't, you know what I mean?
I hear you.
Okay.
326. Yes.
She's kind of right because in the idioms of the way that Hebrew language is, or the way they write from the scripture bears it out. They write from the general to the specific, and then the specific back to the general. So they tell you the whole picture, and then they go back and get the details of it later.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just.
So you hear what he's saying? Pretty much saying the same thing you said. So verse 26 of chapter 1.
And Elohim said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth." So Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of Elohim created he him. Male and female created he them. And Elohim blessed them, and Elohim said unto them, "Be fruitful, and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over everything, every living thing that moves upon the earth." And Elohim said, "Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of the tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for food. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creeps upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for food." And it was so. And Elohim saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the 6th day.
Okay, on the 6th day, he had created man and women. And one thing in particular, there are two things in particular. One, they were giving authority. Two, they were vegetarians. That needs to be clear because we kind of act like they were vegetarians. No one was eating meat. No one was killing anything and saying, "I can't wait to have chicken and French fries and whatever." You had the French fries, but you didn't have the chicken. Okay, so that was the end of the 6th day. All right, let's read a little bit more. We read through this before, so let's pick it up again. Verse 2, chapter 2.
Okay. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the 7th day, Elohim ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the 7th day from all his work which he had made. And Elohim blessed the 7th day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which Elohim created and made. These are the generations of the heavens and the earth when they were created, in the day that Yahweh Elohim made the earth and the heavens, and every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. For Yahweh Elohim had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. But there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. And Yahweh Elohim formed a man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living soul.
Okay, so he had a watering system. What do you call it when the water come up, like in your lawn, irrigation?
Yeah.
He had a watering system, so he hadn't, and the atmosphere was completely different from anything that we know or can even assume. It's sort of like that would have been a good example, a terrarium. So we were enclosed in something that there was moisture in the air.
There's water around us.
Yes, something sort of like Atlantis.
Like, because wasn't it originally before he started adding earth and stuff? Wasn't it more like an abyss, like just a watery abyss sort of thing?
Yeah, so that's what we're talking about. So things grow different in an aquarium. They grow super fast, and super large, and so all right. So here we go. He's living in something.
It's like that show that was on a few years back.
Yes.
They were living in
the dome.
In the dome, right? It was more like that.
So it was some type of a dome-like experience where there was no rain. Rain was not needed because it was already in the atmosphere. Mm-hmm. I saw something the other day, and they couldn't answer the question. They called it a freak of nature. From the Alaska, the coldness up there had come down to America. It had like swept down around 2009, I think. And it was a cold freeze, and there was a garden, and the cold freeze hit the garden. It was an apple garden, and there was no evidence, and still none to try to, they try to give you a scientific answer for it. And then the apple trees that had apples on them at one time, the coldness and the ice froze on the trees, and where there was an apple, it formed an apple. The scientists came to try to figure it out because
there was no apple there.
There was no apple.
It was just the shape of an apple, though.
Right on where the apple once was.
Wow.
The water formed an apple. And when the storm dissipated and the trees were all covered with ice, mm-hmm. you could literally go to the branch where the apple once was and pluck an invisible apple.
Ice apple.
It was ice. Wow. So there's some things that happen even in the atmosphere that we don't understand. So if that apple was gone, and not just one apple, but the whole forest was like that. So if the apples are gone, but yet the wind and the rain and the ice can form an apple where an apple was, you can't figure it out. The scientists couldn't figure it out. And they brought the top scientists in there, and they're trying to, and maybe it's something supernatural. So what was going on? That was recent. What was going on where Adam and Eve, like you see pictures of Adam and Eve. They're in the garden. Mm-hmm. You don't see any water. You see clouds in the background. Right. You see Europeans walking around calling themselves Adam and Eve. That whole atmosphere was different, and we shouldn't try to manipulate people's minds to make them believe something that they don't understand or can't see. All right. Verse 8.
And Yahweh Elohim planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground made Yahweh Elohim to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into 4 heads. The name of the first is Phishon. That is it which encompasses the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. And the gold of that land is good. There is bdellium and the onyx stone. And the name of the second river is Gishon. The same is it that compasses the whole land of Cush. And the name of the third river is Yechezk'el. That is it which goes toward the east of Ashur. And the fourth river is Parath.
In one land, what river goes through Cush?
Gishon.
So we got a river that goes through Cush. Everybody know what a Cushite is, right? Everybody still know what a Cushite is. I want to take you for a walk. This is okay. You want to read?
Sure.
You got your chapter? You got your chapter? Jubilees, the second chapter. Now, there are some things that we are leaving for you to try to figure out on your own. Let us create man in our own image. What do you mean us? Well, he said there's one Elohim. What's he talking about us?
So pre-existing Yahushua, right?
Pre-existing Yahshua, right? But we also know that there's others that would be considered the sons of Yah, right? So he had angels. There's a whole another heavenly body of people, because eventually this heavenly body of people, some of them will look down at the women and it's like, they talking about let's go visit them. So they actually left their first estate. All right, so let's go. I'm reading through this. I'm like, this is good. I want to read this. The second chapter of Jubilees.
Okay. Jubilees chapter 2. And the angel of the presence spoke to Moshe according to the word of Yahuwah, saying, write the complete history of the creation, how in 6 days Yahuwah Elohim finished all his works and all that he created, and kept the Sabbath on the 7th day, and sanctified it for all ages.
Okay, so now we're going back to this creation thing. Moshe, I need you to write this down now. Write this, and then what we just read in Genesis, Bereshiyth 1, and it says that on the 7th day he rested. Okay, let's clarify what this rested is. And here it says he kept Sabbath on the 7th day, and he sanctified it for how long? All ages. And appointed it as a sign for all what? His works. All right, verse 2.
Verse 2. For on the first day he created the heavens which are above, and the earth and the waters, and all the
Ruachs. They're all the spirits
which serve before him, the angels of his presence, and the angels of sanctification, and the angels of the Ruach of fire, and the angels of the Ruach of the winds, and the angels of the Ruach of clouds, and of the darkness, and of the snow, and of the hail, and of the orfrost, and the angels of the voices, and of the thunder, and of the lightning, and the angels of the Ruachs of cold, and of the heat, and of the winter, and of the spring, and of the autumn, and of the summer, and all the Ruach of his creatures which were in the heavens and on the earth.
Okay, so I started out, before I got online with you guys, I said, now, which one of these?
We got an angel for everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
I said, out of the 4 seasons, which one would you want to do away with? I didn't ask you which angel would you want to do away with. I asked you which season. Okay. So when Yah created, this brings more clarification of what he was creating, because all you saw was everything was void and it was chaotic. It was, no one could understand what was happening. So Yah was performing something in front of you as he created something. He says, I'm going to create the heavens and the earth, and then I'm going to put fish in the water and people, things, animals and stuff creeping. And then
Wait, so his angels were doing the work? Is that what you're saying?
He was creating the spirits as well.
Oh, okay.
So he created an angel to perform when? You remember the tornado?
Oh, yeah.
The tornado that whipped through there? That was one of y'all's angels. He says, let me whip them a new butthole. And you look, the wind. So you got an angel of wind. You got an angel of fire. Nobody sees the fire in California and says, ooh, that's the angel of Yah. He's causing that to happen. He literally has someone appointed that can make that happen. When we get deeper into this, you'll find out that the people that were on this earth were learning to control even the spirits. That's why he destroyed us, because we were so wicked and we were learning things that he told you that don't eat of this, because when you eat of it, you will learn everything. You will learn the powers, the powers that you ought not have in your possession.
We were just talking about that.
So you have an angel that controls the wind. You got an angel that controls the clouds. I love that angel. I see his handiwork every day. I look out there, I'm like, look at that cloud. We be driving, I'm like, you see the elephant? You see the aircraft? You see, because I see things in the clouds. The frost, when you see it happening and you see things happening, you can't figure it out. The frost and the snow and the wind, they all made that invisible apple. And you can't figure it out, because you can't even figure out when your holidays are. So okay. So you got an angel for the fire, an angel for the wind, an angel for the clouds, an angel for the darkness, an angel for the snow and the hail. You rather those angels not show up.
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay. Verse 3. I'm just showing you that Yah was not just creating what you could see. He was creating what you can't see.
Verse 3. He created the abyss and the darkness, evening and night, and the light, dawn and day, which he has prepared in the knowledge of his heart. And thereupon we saw his works and praised him and lauded before him on account of all his works. For 7 great works did he create on the first day. On the second day he created the expansion in the midst of the waters, and the waters were divided on that day. Half of them went up above, and half of them went down below.
Uh-oh. Now you're getting ready to see something.
The expansion that was in the midst over the face of the whole earth. And this was the only work Elohim created on the second day.
On the second day, he did a division. So on the first day, he created 7 different stages, which he just showed you what they were. In the Genesis, it only says he created the heavens and the earth. Here, he breaks it down. So now he shows that even before it rained, he created that what you just called dome, and he put something above it, and he put something below it. When you read through Genesis 6, when it talks about the great flood, he said he opens up the windows, and the floods came down. And it says that he opens up the windows from beneath, and the floods come up. So the waters are all around us. We were at one time living in which was something that was watery and air, sort of like Atlantis, where we could walk and we could talk, but we had some type of water around us. Okay? So we were in some type of a dome, but yet it was separated. When you look into the sky, what do you see?
Blue.
You see blue. Okay, but some people say, well, that's a reflection of the ocean. If you're in the desert, then where is the reflection coming from? When you get in a spaceship, as they say, and you get in a spaceship and you go in outer space, what do you see?
Nothing. It's dark.
So how do we go into nothing? How is it possible that we go up there and then it's so dark that you can't see anything, and meanwhile the sun you're getting closer to the sun?
Right.
Okay, you figure that out. I'm not going there.
My mind, you're trying to.
Right.
You have me all confused.
Isn't it because of like the sun refracting and causing that color to happen? Like that's why when the sun is away from us, it's black. Is it when we
Ask your science teacher.
All right.
Because I don't believe in half of what they tell us. Okay,
But
let's
can
get.
we go outside of the dome? If let's just say hypothetically we're in a dome.
From what I believe, no.
Okay.
So like space travel is
When they go out, when they say that they're 4 people just went into outer space.
Well, they didn't go that far.
Thank you.
So they're still in the dome. Is
They never went into outer space. Even when the other guy that said that he went to outer space, he went what he called close to outer space, and then he came back home. I don't think you can go in outer space no more than I think you can get to the bottom of the sea, of the ocean. Because there's certain things, there's limits. And we keep trying to push down lower and lower. And every time we go lower and lower, we can't go but so low. And then we find creatures down there that we've never seen before. And then we end up coming back up for air. And we go up there and we go but so far. And then we end up coming back down for air. All right.
Okay.
We're not going.
Yes, it's too much.
If we can't see, we can't experience, but so much up here and so much down there. How are we going to really understand what happened when Adam and Chihuahua were on the planet? Because that's definitely something we've never seen or witnessed or experienced. Verse
5.
Yes.
Verse 5. And on the 3rd day, he commanded the waters to pass from off the face of the whole earth into one place, and the dry land to appear. And the waters did so as he commanded them, and they retired from off the face of the earth into one place outside of this expansion, and the dry land appeared. And on that day he created for them all the seas according to their separate gathering places, and all the rivers, and all the gatherings of the waters, and the mountains, and on all the earth, and on all the lakes, and on all the dew of the earth, and the seed which is sown, and all the sprouting things, and fruit-bearing trees, and trees of the wood, and the garden of Eden, and Eden and all. These 4 great works Elohim created on the 3rd day.
So on the 3rd day, he created the garden. This is good. This is good because we're gonna get back to this operation, because right now we got Adam laid out on an operation bed and he's getting ready to y'all's getting ready to create Shua. So let's see what happens.
9. And on the 4th day created the sun and the moon and the stars, and set them in the expansion of the heaven, to give light upon all the earth, and to rule over the day and the night, and divide the light from the darkness.
Wait a minute. So before the sun, before the moon, he created trees and fruit and land. How was that? How are they growing without a tree, without a sun?
He was there.
He was the light. Okay.
Wait, I'm very confused now.
You're really confused now.
Yeah, I'm very confused. So the animals existed before the plants and things existed, then what did the animals eat? And if Adam existed before he finished the garden, then what did Adam eat if he was a vegetarian?
No,
It says he hadn't created him yet.
created Adam.
This is day 3.
Okay.
And he created the trees and the fruit.
Yeah.
He gave him food before he gave him life.
Okay.
No,
All right.
he obviously the sun isn't needed. When he creates having a new earth,
There will be no.
there'll be no sun, and so the light is going to come from Yeshua.
Wow.
Okay.
We have to be careful because we have a understanding of so-called creation that's been poisoned by the theory of evolution.
Thank you.
So we think of things that, it has to happen in a certain way. But he's the master of all things, the creator of the universe. He can create them in any order he likes.
Right.
So we
Which came first, the chicken or the egg, right?
Yeah. So the chicken came
The
first.
chicken.
So we have that. We've been poisoned, and we're thinking a certain way, and it might not make sense to us. But also, we lost a lot of after the fall. We lost a lot of abilities and a lot of
Our thinking
attributes that were taken away from us because of sin.
Mm.
It would be dangerous for us to have these abilities. So he took those away from us for our own protection. When he says, don't consult psychics, don't do these kind of things, because we have these abilities. I mean, they've been kind of attenuated and muted, but if we use them, if we seek them out and use them, they could be harmful. And Adam had all those abilities apparently.
Right.
He could see things and do things that we would probably think of some kind of magic or psychic ability, whatever. So a lot of things are hidden from us right now, but they'll be restored at some point.
I often think of, when I go into reading things like this, I think of some of the things that we have on this planet that we can't explain, like the pyramids. Like, we can't figure that out. Even today, we can't figure out how they created them, and they're huge, and there's no other rocks around. So it's like, where did you get these rocks from, and how did you transport them, and how did you cut them, and and you go down to South America or Mexico, and you start seeing all these other pyramids, and you're like, how did that all happen? And then you go into outer space, or they say outer space, and you take a picture down and you see the same, you put dots on where the pyramids are, and then you come down and you look at those dots and you put them on a paper and you put them up in the sky, and they represent the stars, and you can see the stars in alignment with the dots on the ground that you put on the paper from something that's on the planet. How did they know to make those pyramids, and not just in one location, throughout the whole world? And so the authority, the wisdom that they once had, we lost, and we're trying to gain some of it back. And most of us will go will do something wicked to gain that knowledge. Like our entertainers will take LSD so that they can play better music. Where's the music coming from? Where's the wisdom coming from so that they become enhanced athletes? they try to stop them from getting enhanced because they know that there are certain things that they can take, which will make them run faster, which will make them jump higher, which will make them recuperate from their exhausting state in a matter of seconds. Instead of taking time to recuperate, it may take you 5-10 minutes. You like jump back and you're powerful again. Okay. So let's go.
Okay. Okay.
We're at verse 10, 9.
I think let me start over at 9.
9.
And on the fourth day, he created the sun and the moon and the stars and set them in the expansion of the heaven to give light upon all the earth and to rule over the day and the night, and divided the light from the darkness. And Elohim appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth for days and for the Sabbaths and for the months and for the feasts and for years and for Sabbaths of years and for jubilees and for all the seasons of the years. And it divides the light from the darkness and for prosperity, that all things may prosper which shoot and grow on the earth. These three kinds he made on the fourth day.
Okay, I wanted to stop here for a second because as we walk into our feast days, there's going to be always questions about, is this the time? Should we be following this calendar or another calendar? And should we use the moon and the stars, or should we be looking at the equinox and the this and that? And you're searching it out. So right here it says, I'm going to establish the where was it at? Verse 9. The sun and the moon and the stars, and he said, I'm going to set them in the expanse in the heavens and give them light upon the earth to rule over day and night and to divide light from darkness. And Elohim appointed the sun to be a sign for the earth for days. Every time the sun pops up, you know what it is, right? The sun, it's
daytime.
It's daytime. It's another day. Daytime's coming. And then I'm appointing, where was I at? To divide the sun to be a great sign for the days and for your Shabbats and for the moons and for your feasts and for your years and for your Shabbiots or Sabbaths of your years and your Jubilees and all the seasons of the year. Verse 10.
So he appointed the sun for those things.
Yes.
Keep reading.
The son's appointed, has a job to do besides just give us heat. Verse 10.
Read 10 again.
Yes.
And it divides the light from the darkness, and for prosperity, that all things may prosper which shoot and go on the earth. These three kinds he made on the fourth day. And on the fifth day he created great sea monsters in the depths of the waters, for these were the first things of flesh that were created by his hands. The fish and everything that moves in the waters, and everything that flies, the birds and all their kind. And the sun rose above them to prosper them, and above everything that was on the earth, everything that shoots out of the earth, and all the fruit-bearing trees and all the flesh. These three kinds he created on the fifth day.
Mm-hmm.
And keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And on the sixth day he created all the animals of the earth, and all the cattle, and everything that moves on the earth. And after all this he created man. A man and a woman created he them, and gave him dominion over all that is upon the earth, and in the sea, and over everything that flies, and over every beast, and over every cattle, and over everything that moves on the earth, and over the whole earth, and over all that he gave him to do, and over all this he gave him dominion. And these four kinds he created on the sixth day. And they were altogether 22 kinds. And he finished 17. And he finished all his work on the sixth day. On the sixth day, all that is in the heavens and on the earth and in the seas and in the abyss and in the light and in the darkness and in everything. And he gave us a great sign by the Sabbath, that we should work 6 days, but guard the Sabbath on the seventh day from all work. And all the angels of the presence and all the angels of sanctification, these two great classes, he has bidden us to guard the Sabbath with him in the heaven and on earth.
Okay, so the Shabbat, the Sabbath, is protected and guarded by who?
Angels.
For where?
Angels of sanctification.
Presence.
In heaven and on earth.
Right.
So they keep the Sabbath
So-
in heaven.
In heaven,
Wow.
He really meant it was a holy convocation, like he meant that literally.
yeah, thank you.
So they're guarding.
So he
the
really
Shabbat.
meant it's a holy convocation,
So even now.
even now. So the Shabbat is kept where? Everywhere. In heaven and in earth. And guess what? He didn't say the abyss.
Oh.
So
He didn't say the darkness.
I'm confused. If there's, I know I said that a lot, but my confusion is starting from just like, you know, my understanding of things as I've gotten older, and then the understanding of things, learning it now, being able to process more from the Bible as I'm older.
Mhm.
They're clashing in my brain. I'm trying to put the pieces together.
Good.
And my question is, if on heaven and earth, if the Shabbat is kept, would that mean like the angels don't work on Saturday and they don't do certain things? But if that's the case, then why are the clouds still moving? Why is the
Okay, good answer. Good question.
And how are we still protected? Because isn't he working to protect us too?
So
yeah?
when he created everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And on the seventh day he rested.
Mm-hmm.
Did everything just shut down?
No.
That's ridiculous, right? Everything didn't shut down, but apparently in his train of thought, I rested. So whatever that means, it's happening there and it's happening here. So when somebody said, when I learned Shabbat and I was supposed to rest, I just laid in bed. Well, even if you lay in bed, you're still working because your body is still working.
That's true.
You didn't turn your body off. It's still, you still got to poop and pee pee, right?
And eat.
And eat. Well, no, you can probably go a day
Well,
without
you
eating,
can.
right?
Yeah. But when you're sleeping, your body's working.
Your body's constantly working,
It's actually working more than when you're up and moving
Yeah,
around.
to heal itself.
Yeah.
right? Unless you can make yourself go to comatose for a day. But even then doing that, it's still producing some type of work.
Yeah.
But you know the difference between working and working.
Right.
You know the difference that
You're working for what you have to do. You're not working outside of that. You know, so.
you're working to keep
you're
working to keep yourself alive,
right.
right?
Right.
But you're not going slaving.
Right.
And so we represent Yah by showing that we don't work like we're not strong,
We're not clocking in. So.
clocking into work,
Right.
right? Or we're not working.
Mm-hmm.
So as a believer, I know that on this day, I'm not going to be out there edging my yard and cutting all my grass and painting my house and say, well, I'm not working. Because now you're just literally moving your work from one work to the other. And I might find myself doing some of that to set up for a meeting or whatever, but I'm not turning it into a full work day and I'm running out to the store and buying supplies and I'm doing a lot of other creating a work environment. Okay, so Yah doesn't shut down. He doesn't stop the rain from the rain. It was raining Friday night until 7:00 and it stopped raining because Shabbat came
Right.
and the angel said, I'm taking off. I'm not working the rest. That now we're going to be going ridiculous. Okay, so Yah has a way of showing his ability to rest in the heavens, and we need to be able to demonstrate that here on earth. Okay. 20.
And he said unto us, Behold, I will separate unto myself a people from among all the peoples, and these shall guard the Sabbath, and I will sanctify them unto myself as my people, and I will bless them, and I will bless them as I have sanctified the Sabbath, and do sanctify it unto myself. Even so I will bless them, and they shall be my people, and I will be their Elohim. And
so are you talking about what people? When did he do this? This is Genesis. This is the very beginning, and he said, "I will do this." Okay, so or is he doing it with Adam and Eve, or is he waiting to do this later on? Let's read.
Okay. 21. And I have chosen the seed of Yechezk'el from amongst all that I have seen, and have written him down as my firstborn son, and I have sanctified him unto myself forever and ever. And I will teach them the Sabbath, that they may guard the Sabbath thereon from all work. And thus he created therein a sign in accordance with which they should guard the Sabbath with us on the seventh day, to eat and to drink and to bless him who has created all things, as he has blessed and sanctified unto himself a peculiar people above all peoples, and that they should guard the Sabbath together with us. And he caused his commands to ascend as a sweet savor acceptable before him all the days. There were 22 heads of mankind from Adam to Yechezk'el, and 22 kinds of work were made on the seventh day. This is blessed and holy, and the former also is blessed and holy, and this one serves with that one for sanctification and blessings. And to this Yechezk'el and his seed it was granted that they should always be the blessed in Kodashim of the first testimony of Torah, even as he sanctified and blessed the Sabbath on the seventh day. I don't know what I just read.
That's okay. That's okay, because he pulled out a person and he says, "Okay, I'm going to start with Yaakov, and watch how I'm going to use him as an initial starting point, so you can see that as he keeps the Sabbath, start following. We're supposed to be children of Abraham,
yes,
Isaac, and Jacob,
yes.
Right? So we're following the pattern.
But he lost me here when it says there were 22 heads of mankind from Adam to Jacob.
Okay, we'll go back to that because he's talking about the 22 different positions of man.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
but we'll go back.
It's like if you're starting I'll say church. If you're starting a church, everybody can't be the preacher.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But he has his job.
Okay.
Everybody can't be the usher because he has his job. Right. Everybody can't be the choir or the driver of the van driver, but everybody has a position. Okay. And you're going to see all these positions working themselves out. So the problem that we have today, everybody's like, everybody want to be the preacher. Right? Right. Everybody more everybody's a prophet, or everybody can't be that. And if everybody was that, then where's the doorkeeper?
That's true. Right.
Where's the person where's the nurse? Right. Where's no one wants to be because we feel of lesser estate because I'm placed in a position that everybody is not honoring. Okay.
All right. 25.
And it's going to get us back
to where? Okay.
Yes.
And to this Jacob and his seed it was granted that they should always be the blessed in Kodashim of the first testimony and Torah, even as he had sanctified and blessed the Sabbath on the seventh day. He created heaven and earth and everything that he created in 6 days. And Elohim made the seventh day holy for all his works. Therefore he commanded on its behalf, that whosoever does any work thereon shall die, and that he who defiles it shall surely die.
27.
Straightforward.
Yes.
Wherefore do you command the children of Yisra'el to observe this day, that they may keep it holy, and not be thereon any work, and not defile it, as it is a holier
Holier.
than all days. And who's okay, he's making me nervous.
Oh, he just moved.
Okay.
He can't get out.
Okay. Okay. Okay, Nat just threw me off.
All right.
And whosoever profanes it shall surely die. And whosoever does thereon any work shall surely die eternally, that the children of Yisrael may observe this day throughout their generations, and not be rooted out of the land. For it is a holy day and a blessed day. And everyone who observes it and guards Sabbath thereon from all his work will be holy and blessed throughout all the days, like unto us. Declare and say to the children of Yisrael the Torah on this day, both that they should guard on the Sabbath thereon, and that they should not forsake it in the error of their hearts, and that it is against the Torah to do any work thereon, which is unseemly,
Right.
to do thereon their own pleasure, and that they should not prepare thereon anything to be eaten or drunk, and that it is against the Torah to draw water or bring in or take out thereon through their gates any burden which they had not prepared for themselves on the 6th day in their dwelling.
So you have 6 days, get yourself ready. And we have the last day, we call the preparation day, where you really just like, okay, let's just get everything in order. And so y'all, this is not, I repeat, this is not for everybody. This was for Israel and Israel only, the set apart chosen ones. So everyone else wasn't like commanded to do this. And when you do some research, you're going to find these people that never thought about keeping Sabbath. As a matter of fact, they didn't even have 7 days. I looked up somewhere and I saw that they had 8-day weeks. I was like, what in the world were they? They didn't know. So they were like winging it as they went along.
But wouldn't that throw your whole year off if you had? Well, they weren't in the system. This was like the Europeans before they knew anything about the Bible, before the current calendars that we have.
So they were just keeping 8.
They're just keeping some of them. Sometimes some of them kept 10 days. They didn't know what a week was.
Oh my God.
They didn't even know what a week was.
So we taught them really.
Yes.
When they got a hold of the Bible.
Okay, so everyone.
Torah.
So let's go. What verse are we in?
I'm sorry, 31. I'm on 31. I think.
Yes.
And they shall not bring in nor take out from the house to house of that day, for that day is more holy and blessed than any jubilee day of the jubilees. On this we kept Sabbath. On this we kept Sabbath in the heavens, before it was made known to any flesh to guard the Sabbath there on earth. And the Creator of all things blessed it. And he did not sanctify all peoples and nations to guard the Sabbath thereon, but Yisra'el alone. Them alone he permitted to eat.
Oh, did I just say that? Did I just? I'm sorry. I said it before he said it, but he said this is not for everybody, but for Yisrael alone.
Them alone.
32.
Oh, them alone.
32, beginning.
Oh, sorry. And the Creator of all things blessed it. And he did not sanctify all peoples and nations to guard the Sabbath thereon, but Yisra'el alone. Them alone he permitted to eat and to drink, and to guard the Sabbath thereon on the earth. And the Creator of all things blessed this day, which he had created for blessings and holiness, and glory above all days. This Torah and testimony was given to the children of Yisra'el as a Torah forever unto the generations.
Okay, so we're still in this when I read this, I'm like, wow, this is all about the beginning. And so when he's talking about the beginning, he puts such a great emphasis on the word Shabbat. He's like, I'm going to break this down. So not only is this holy and righteous, it's happening in heaven. It's something that that Israel is supposed to keep, and this is why. And he goes on and on and on until he at the end he says, "This is for you. This is for your people." Okay, that was day 5, verse 6. Chapter 3. We're only going to finish this out. We're going to finish this chapter, and then I got to go. We'll come back tomorrow. I should do a follow up tomorrow.
And on the 6th day of the 2nd week, we brought, according to the word of Elohim, unto Adam and all the beasts, and of all the cattle, and of all the birds, and everything that moves on earth, and everything that moves in the water, according to their kinds, and according to their types, the beasts of the 1st day, the cattle of the 2nd day, the birds of the 3rd day, and all that which moves on earth on the 4th day, and that which moves in the water on the 5th day. Okay, so now Adam is identifying everything and giving it all a name, and watch what happens. This chapter was so good. Watch. And Adam named. And Adam named them all by their respective names, and he called them, so was their name. And on these 5 days, Adam saw all this, male and female, according to every kind that was on the earth. But he was alone and found no helpmeet for him. And Yahweh said unto him. So he had to be looking. It's like gorillet, giraffette, piglet. I don't know. Adam. He's like, something's just not right here. So when he said meat for me, what does that mean? Something that met him appropriately. Okay, let's go. 4. And Yahweh said unto us, it is not good that the man should be alone. Let us make a helpmeet for him. And Yahweh Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon him, and he slept. And he took for the woman one rib from amongst his ribs, and this rib was the origin of the woman from amongst his ribs. And he built up the flesh in its stead, and built the woman. Okay, what does that mean? Like it says that he built the woman. Does it sound like he's something that just like instantly happened? It took time. It does sound like time, right? Yeah. It's like when you build something, right. All right. So if you're building a building, it's gonna take time. You start with the frame, with the foundation, the frame, and then you start putting all the wiring in. And then you do all the plumbing. What's that? I hear you, Neil.
I said time is perspective. Like a long time for me is not a long time for God.
Okay, great.
That's relative. Yeah.
It's relative.
Yeah, God's time is different.
Right? Yeah. So us building the house, right?
Mm-hmm. It didn't take any longer than a day because it says it.
He woke up on the 6th day.
Right, we're gonna read this because in back in the day when we build the building, we would frame out the ground. I'm talking about modern technology here in America. We would first build frames, dig the hole, build frames out, and then call in the contractor, and they would bring in concrete, and they would pour the concrete into the ground, and then you let it set, and then the next day you come back and you start building your way up. Now they build the frame and they build even the foundation somewhere else. They dig the hole And in the same day, they dig the hole, and the guys are outside with the frame. When they get done leveling it off, they take the frame and they plop it. I mean, the foundation, the brick, the concrete. They pick up the big slabs and they set them down in place, and then they lock them up. And the next day, they got the inspector come out and they inspect it. And a couple days later, they're gonna have a whole building done. I was like, how they do that so quick? And the frame, when they bring the frame in, some of the frames already got the wires in them. So all they got is, when they bring them, they put it all together, and all they do is connect it. So everything is relative. What it takes, it doesn't take as long for us to build a house as it did back in the 60s. So Yah, of course, he's not going to, he can do it instantly. All right, but it says that he built the woman. And like Neil says, it's relative. Like, he can do it in a day. All right, let's see what happens.
And he awakened Adam out of his sleep, and on awakening he rose on the 6th day, and he brought her to him, and he knew her, and said unto her, This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken from her man. Therefore shall man and woman be one, and therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and cleave unto his woman, and they shall be one flesh. I always think that's interesting that he says that, because they had no father and mother.
That's the first time mother and father is mentioned in the book.
Yeah.
That they shall become. Read it again.
Okay.
What verse are we in?
7.
Oh, I was down further. Good.
Therefore shall man and woman be one, and therefore shall man leave his father and his mother, and cleave unto his woman, and they shall be one flesh.
And so him, Adam, and Eve will be the mother and father.
Right.
And when they have children, their children will start this whole process of joining together and becoming one.
So they're just setting the order.
This is the author of this book, whoever the author was, who had written it years later, probably like hundreds or thousands of years later, and he was explaining why that is the case.
Why that is the case.
That man and woman should leave. That a man will leave his father and mother.
Where did this happen at?
In the garden?
Okay, so we'll get an answer for that, because it didn't happen in the garden.
It didn't? Okay.
Because he brought them to be in the garden.
Because he made the garden already,
The garden was made, right?
but they weren't there.
And there's some other things that are interesting when you read. When you get a little bit into the text, you're going to find out there's other people outside of the garden.
Yeah.
So you got, all right, so
Okay, so keep reading.
yes, we're going to finish this chapter.
Okay.
And hopefully this sparks something in you, and you're like, you know what? I got to read through Genesis. I got to get back to Jubilees, and I got to go back to Jasher, and I got to read all this here, and because I'm going to find error. You know, we always looking for somebody to say something and say, he was wrong. I got him. All right, let's go.
In the first week was Adam created, and the rib his woman in the second week. He showed up.
Wait a minute. Everybody get that?
Yeah. It was a whole week went by.
Okay, so you asked what we were reading in Genesis, and it says that on the 6th day, he created male and female.
Which is a whole week went by.
But here it says.
So she wasn't created on the 6th day.
Well, it says, okay, if you read the first verse of this chapter again, the first thing it says is on the 6th day of the second week, we brought, according to the word of Elohim, unto Adam all the beasts.
Oh, look at how she went back there.
All the cattle. I noticed that when we first read it, but it says on the 6th day of the second week.
Oh, so it wasn't the first 6th day, it was the second.
second week,
6th day.
6th day.
Okay.
So
And
they're
then-
talking about two separate
So
weeks
did he
in the
start?
beginning.
Did he start making her last week and then finish the next week?
No, he just finished
No,
her in
he-
that one day, right? I mean, in that one moment. But you're saying it was the second week after Adam had already
He'd
named
already been there
everything
for a week.
and had been working, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Go ahead.
Adrian?
I it's kind of suspect in my opinion because that first week he said he ceased from all his creation on the seventh day. He didn't create anything after that. So then he comes back on the second week and creates woman.
Mhm.
This
It
is one of the things
One of those-
that people feel is a where the
contradiction.
between
Genesis.
Jubilees and Genesis. Yeah.
Well,
Or
I
error.
can see to believe
Yeah.
what Genesis was saying. The other books, although I think they're helpful, I think we have to be careful because there were a lot of additions made after the fact to try to and it created more doctrine around, and they weren't necessarily be accurate.
Yeah, this is
So I all the apocryphal books are probably good, but I think we have to be careful when we study them.
Go slow so we can, as we read it, we see something that just doesn't jive. So we, you're like, I don't know about that because he's saying, literally says that he created her on the second week. So let's finish. Let's go back.
All right, so where am I starting?
Verse
9
7.
or 8?
8.
8, okay.
wait. I have a.
Yes.
So it's possible then that because some of this stuff was told orally for most of the time, that like Jasher, Jubilees, and Genesis, all these where they start from the beginning and go on, could they just be different oral translations? Because
That's
Like-
what I think.
remember when you used to play telephone
Mm-hmm.
and
By the time the secret got to
yeah,
the
somebody says chicken, and then by the time it got to you, it's phone. And, you know, you know what I mean? And especially black people like to talk, and if these are black people, then they're going to say different things each time, and they're gonna add on different parts. So it's possible that these could just be different tellings because we were just telling it not wrong, but maybe it was just different.
It just came out wrong.
Yeah, it
Right.
just came out different. Like
Yeah.
it was like a big game of telephone with the world, and this is the result of that.
Because think about how much time passed between Adam and Moshe. I mean, that's a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then who did Moshe hear? Well, you know what I mean.
Right, yeah.
He's writing it.
And then
down.
after Noah, before Noah, when everybody was flooded out, now we got a whole new group of people, and the only people who knew what happened before are Noah and his sons and the sons'
And they
wives.
told their version
So
of
I
it.
did
Right.
a just tracking my own family tree was difficult getting back to my great grandfather. It's like, okay, so I know we're related to Harriet Tubman. She's my aunt. No, she's not my aunt. She's my cousin. No, she's my, and you study trying to figure it out. And one person will tell you, oh, she's your aunt. And someone else will say, no, she's your cousin. And so you're tracking it down, and neither one of you are really 100% right, but you know that she's in your family somewhere.
Right.
All right, so let's go.
Okay.
I still want to finish reading this chapter.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Verse 9.
Verse 9. He showed her unto him, and for this reason the commandment was given to him in their defilement, for a male 7 days, and for a female twice 7 days. And after Adam had completed 40 days in the land where he had been created, we brought him into the Garden of Eden. So he wasn't in there.
Mhm.
To till and to guard it. But his woman they brought in on the 8th day, and after this she entered into the Garden of Eden. And for this reason the commandment is written on the heavenly tablets in regard to her that gives birth. If she bears a male, she shall remain in her uncleanness 7 days according to the first week of days, and 30 and 3 days shall she remain in the blood of her purifying. And she shall not touch any sanctified thing, nor enter into the sanctuary until she accomplishes these days, which are enjoined in case of a male child. But in the case of a female child, she shall remain in her uncleanness 2 weeks of days, according to the first 2 weeks and 60 days, in the blood of her purification. And they will be in all 80 days. And when she has completed these 80 days, we brought her into the Garden of Eden, for it is holier than all the earth, because earth besides, and every tree that is planted in it is holy. Therefore, there was ordained regarding her who bears a male or female child, that statute of those days, that she should touch no sanctified thing, nor enter into the sanctuary until these days, for the male and female child are accomplished. This is in Torah and testimony, which was written down for Yisra'el, in order that they should observe all these days. And in the first week of the first Jubilee, Adam and his woman were in the Garden of Eden for 7 years, tilling and guarding it. And we gave him work, and we instructed him to do everything that is suitable for tillage. And he tilled the garden, and was naked and knew it not, and was not ashamed. And he protected the garden from the birds and the beasts and the cattle, and gathered its fruit and ate, and put aside the remnant for himself and for his woman, and put aside that which was being kept.
Okay, so the question here that I would ask, and it coincides with the Bible, or the 66 books.
Mm-hmm.
How is he walking around butt naked and not knowing it? How is Adam and Eve walking around naked and they don't know it?
Because they don't know evil.
There's no frame of reference for anything else.
Right. They've never seen clothes, probably. I mean,
Yeah.
well, you know what I mean? They don't, there's, they don't look like us.
They probably don't know that they're naked.
They had clothes on, but it's not clothes that we would understand as clothes.
Well, where did you get that from?
Clothed in light, clothed in some other spiritual fabric that we don't know about.
Okay, so whatever Adrian says, they were clothed in something light or something, or some kind of fabric that we're not aware of.
Maybe they don't know what naked is.
Right.
What is naked to them?
Did the donkey wear clothes?
No, nothing else had
The monkey wear clothes? Nothing wore clothes. So I guess it really wasn't
a big deal.
A big deal.
But everything else is covered in something. Dogs have hair. Horses have hair. Their skin is not exposed. We're the only creatures kind of that are without
hairless.
that. Yeah.
So the
something
temperature must be perfect where they are. It must be like a perfect. You're not hot. You're not cold. You're not aware of.
Right.
What elders' perspective? Probably go along with what Adrian's saying. I believe there was some type of a covering on them that covered them, whether it would be when Moshe came off of the mountain because he was in the presence of Yah, he glowed.
Oh.
They said he glowed. He literally was shining.
Yeah.
And so when Yeshua was in the Mount Transfiguration, he glowed. So I'm thinking there was something about him that probably, or the two of them, that probably covered them so that their nakedness was not exposed. And the reason I say that, because after they sinned, they realized that they were naked.
Do you think the glow or whatever went away when they sinned?
Well, let your light so shine before men that you glorify the Father. But when the glorification is diminished, the light is no longer glowing. You're now just naked man. So I'm believing that there was something to cover them given by Yah. Remember this, right? We weren't living the way in an atmosphere like we live now. So we don't know what that looks like, but apparently something drastic happened at the moment that they sinned, because what did they do afterwards?
Well, he sent them out of the garden, so they were never not in that protected place anymore.
So the garden was a protected place. That's why I said it must have been this perfect
environment.
Yeah.
Okay, so where are we at?
We're at, is it 18? Right.
Oh, 18.
18. And after the completion of the 7 years, which he had completed there, 7 years exactly, and in the second month, on the 17th day of the month, the serpent came and approached the woman, and the serpent said to the woman, has Elohim commanded you, saying, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And she said, of all the fruit of the trees of the garden, Elohim has said unto us, eat, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim has said unto us, ye shall not eat thereof, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die.
And that, from what I understand, was an addition to the word, because I didn't see where it said that they could not touch it.
Added.
And I believe that was added.
Okay.
That she added it, not that it wasn't in the text, but that she added to the word.
Oh, okay.
Because Yah told him that you're not to eat of it, but I don't. When anybody find me to be wrong, say so. But I don't remember Yah telling Adam, don't touch it. And why I bring that up is because there's too many people that are taking from Yah's word and also adding to his word. And either way, you find yourself in flaw, because you start adding to Yah's word and you're creating something more just as dangerous as taking from his word. So it's caution. Whenever I hear someone say something, like, where'd that come from? Is that your thought? Or is that what Yah has actually wrote in the book and says, thou shalt not? Or are you just saying, thou shalt not? Here's one. Thou shalt not drink alcohol. It's like, you added to Yah's word, because he didn't say you can't drink alcohol. So you need to be cautious, because now you are putting something. And I'm not saying drinking alcohol is great.
Right.
I'm not saying it's
drunken, but it's different.
Right. I'm not saying do or not.
Right.
I'm just saying, what does the word say?
Right.
Because now you start adding to it, and you got people. Too many times have I seen this, preachers preaching against it and going out to restaurants and drinking. You just were up in the pulpit saying don't drink, and then you sit down and you have a glass of wine.
Right.
So cautious when you start adding to Yah's word or taking away from it.
Keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die.
Can I ask a question? Were they in the garden? I like these questions. Were they in the garden when this occurred? Because he put them in the garden. They had access to go and come. So what?
Yeah, they were.
You sure they were in the garden?
Yeah. I think he came in, but the serpent came in the garden.
Because the garden was always holy and righteous. So how is unclean or a something foul speaking to him in the garden?
Because they were told to stay in the
I know,
garden. Well,
because our mind automatically says, well, they were in the garden, because that's where
the
they lived at.
The tree was in the midst of the garden.
Right. So
So
had
he had to have gone in there with.
right. The tempt her, and I'm
But
assuming
does
the
it
tree
say
was
that?
there.
Does it say that he was near the tree when he told her?
Thank you. Doesn't say that, right?
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, the only other explanation is like where it says
He's holding a conversation with her. She tells him, "Well,
He's
there's
like,
the tree in the garden,
Go
and
eat it.
what?
Yeah, he's telling her like go in there and eat
We'll
it.
go with yeah."
But how would she be out there? It doesn't say how she got out there though.
what
There's so much context you have to
It
have.
doesn't,
Right.
but it says in 18 that like Adam had completed the work, so maybe they completed it and left out of the garden, him and Eve.
They could have been on vacation.
Why would they leave the garden?
Yeah.
Dude, but why would they
I don't
leave the
know.
garden?
I'm just trying to make. I don't know. I think they probably were in the garden.
Oh, you think once they got in the garden, they stayed in there? They're like,
Well, if it was
That's
a
there's
no
perfect
better place
I
than
would.
this.
That's what I'm saying. Like if it's a nice garden, why not? Why would you leave? You don't have to, and then it doesn't have to rain. You have to worry
well, you
about
don't stay in the garden all the time. I got a garden. I'm not in the garden
But
all
what
the
do they
time.
need to go out the garden for? Because
They have everything there.
They're vegans, right? And then y'all's in the garden.
So you think you only go out to eat?
That's what I was saying. Like, what do they need to go out for? Because isn't outside of it just like
Okay, I'm just trying to get your brain to thinking because we have just
And
learned.
they're protected in the garden.
We just learned that certain things, so we automatically believe things
Didn't y'all
without investigating.
I think y'all allowed him in the garden. I think y'all.
So,
To test her.
all right,
I think
I would go back and read some more if I was you.
Okay.
All right, and after the completion of 7 years, when he had completed their 7 years exactly, and in the second month and on the 17th day of the month, the serpent came and approached Eve, and the serpent said to the woman, I said Eve, to the woman, has Elohim commanded you, saying, thou shalt not eat of every tree in the garden? Come on, read 19.
Okay. And she said to it, of all the fruit of the trees of the garden,
I like how she called it.
Yeah.
She said to it.
to it.
That's what we need to call some of these people that don't know what they are. Are you a male or a female? And you're in it.
Yeah. Elohim has said unto us, eat, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim has said unto us, ye shall not eat thereof, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die, for Elohim knows that on the day ye shall eat thereof, your eyes will be open, and you will be as an Elohim, and ye will know good and evil. And the woman saw the tree that it was agreeable and pleasant to the eye, and that its fruit was good for food, and she took thereof and ate. And when she had first covered her shame with fig leaves, so she was naked, she gave thereof to Adam, and he ate it. Because why was she, yeah.
Okay, but listen to the conversation. She was talking to it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The conversation was over. So the conversation was over. It disappeared. It didn't disappear, but because Elohim went to it and talked to it, but it was with her, and then did what good advertisers do, sowed the seed, and got her thinking. We don't know how long that happened. We just imagined that it happened right there. As a matter of fact, he got pictures of the tree with this snake and this apple, and the snake's wrapping around and handing the apple over to her. And well, the snake apparently is still living, right? And so the snake, or whatever it is, because it's on its feet walking, so whatever it is, it's touching the tree.
Right.
And if you go by that train of thought, that it was in the garden. But if it was not in the garden, she brought that wicked thought into the garden with her.
Oh, with Adam.
So that's just something to think about.
Okay.
maybe it was that the creature existed, but Hasatan took over that creature and sort of occupied the creature as a vessel. And then that's why Yah cast it on his belly so that he wouldn't have to be able to take and occupy any other creature thereafter that.
Most of the times when you're right.
I am?
Yeah. But most of the time when there's an attack, how do we attack another kingdom? Ooh,
Like physically?
yeah,
Send a spy in.
Oh, to go
to
check it out.
infiltrate,
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Infiltration. Yeah.
right?
You send somebody
And
in
and
the trench
and
coat.
sometimes the spy doesn't even have to get inside
Mhm.
if it can get the information inside.
Mhm.
And it said that the Nahash was the most crafty creature in there.
Right. Very crafty, right?
So maybe the creature itself was just a crafty animal, and Hasatan saw that and was like,
And then you
It's like, this is perfect. This is perfect.
animal right here.
Right.
And that's why y'all cast it on his belly.
Like, this is all I need right now.
Because
Right.
we know the other animals couldn't have done that. You know what I mean? Or they just weren't as crafty. Other animals just aren't as crafty.
And I'm thinking like,
So maybe the animal itself wasn't evil. That's why it was in the garden.
Of
But
course,
because of
yeah.
its craftiness or wiseness.
then Hasatan
that's if you want to go with your theory
If
of it being in the garden.
Right.
Or is it on the
I
outside
don't know.
looking in? It's like, yo, hey, come here, let me talk to you. I know I can't come in there where you at, but come here. Hey, Chihuahua.
Right.
But I'm just throwing out there something for you to think about. But that, whatever it was, lured her into touching it. And if you already think, if I touch it, I'm going to die. And I touch it and I don't die, what's the next thing you're going to do?
Eat it. Oh.
Because you already had it.
Then you were going to die if you touch it.
Right. You're like, well,
I'm still here.
I think he said don't touch it.
Right.
So I might as well eat it now.
But he did say don't. But wait a minute. Was the living. Because you just added to something that was not
There.
then the next thing you know, oh, and you realize that you butt naked. All right, let's go.
Okay.
Because she done put leaves on.
And when she had first covered her shame with fig leaves, she gave thereof to Adam, and he ate it, and his eyes were open, and he saw that he was naked. And he took fig leaves and sewed them together and made an apron for himself and covered his shame. And Elohim cursed the serpent and was wroth with it forever.
I got another question. What you got on? Shouldn't Adam be like, Eve, what's happening with you? Why you got this stuff on you?
Oh.
She covered herself up, according to this text. And then she pops up in Eve's in Adam's face with your glow is missing, something's missing, something's changed, something's different. But he's so infatuated with women. You know that there's a couple texts about some women out there they lure you into. All right. Anyway, so he never even thought anything of her nakedness. And then he ate, and his eyes were open, and then he realized that he was naked.
And he took fig leaves and sewed them together and made an apron for himself and covered his shame. And Elohim cursed the serpent and was wroth with it forever. And he was wroth with the woman because she hearkened to the voice of the serpent and did eat. And he said unto her, I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your pains. In sorrow you shall bring forth children, and your return shall be unto you your man, and he will rule over you. Big mistake. Big mistake. I'm sorry.
He just didn't realize the calamity that was to come.
If you only knew, we gotta have a conversation. And to Adam also he said, because you have hearkened unto the voice of your woman, and have eaten over the tree of which I commanded you that you should not eat thereof, cursed be the ground for your sake. Thorns and thistles shall it bring forth to you, and you shall eat your bread in a sweat of your face, till you return to the earth from whence you were taken. For earth you are, and earth shall be returned. Wow. And he made for them coats of skin. Wait. and clothed them and sent them forth from the Garden of Eden.
And now here's a big issue. They've never eaten meat. They've never touched dead bodies. Or whether death even had its had anything, whether anything even had died. And then he says, and he made for them coats of skin, and clothed them. Now, the question is, was this hides of a dead animal? Or was it, what do you think, hon? It could have been the fur of a dead animal, fur of a living animal.
It could have been. It could have been just
Like
skin
sheep.
that he made.
So
You
they
can-
were
Right.
outside of their. So that means they were like not. They didn't have skin before. But if that's the case, then why did she cover herself with fig leaves?
No, she had
No.
skin, but I
No.
think they meant like
He put some kind of
Like,
covering on it.
Oh,
like a
like-
goat
It
skin.
would have been leather or goat.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
leather.
okay.
Because you can shave an animal without killing it.
That is not comfortable.
Oh, it
I
for-
says,
know.
it says coats of skins. So the animal would have had to die.
Because
to
you're
get
taking
Oh,
the skin
oh,
off. It's not
okay.
just fur, yeah.
It wasn't wool or something. It was actually skin.
So-
So either y'all made skin and
Or
cooked
he
them
killed
with it, or
something.
he killed something and used the skin of it.
Okay, so two things.
But we don't have a definite of,
No.
of what happened there.
We have two things. When they sin, it caused a ripple effect on creation.
Mhm.
So everything started going back into the beginning where things were void and formless. Things started backtracking. So things that death approached. Yes,
I think this was the first sacrifice.
go to your Genesis.
Sacrificial atonement.
Go to your
Something
Genesis.
that had to die.
Go to your Genesis book.
Okay.
You were reading Genesis,
Mhm.
Bereshiyth, and let's look and see what he says he covered them with.
Oh, I see what you're saying because it's a sin.
Right.
Right.
So something had to die to pay for the
Something had to
sin.
die.
Something had to pay for the.
Blood had to be shed.
Yes.
Okay.
21. 321.
Wow, we're going deep today.
I know we're over 2 hours. Oh, sorry. Now let's go back to Bereshiyth.
This
It
is just
just
the
says.
beginning.
I know this.
This is something-
Bereshiyth again. Now we're going. I didn't want to have to do this. They're forcing my hand. Bereshiyth. Let's look at the.
Oh, that word is or. Skin is the word or, and we just did a very deep study on that
Oh, where did you look?
in my
Oh,
translate Hebrew.
okay.
So he put
translation.
a coat of ore on.
What is
No,
that?
or is the word for skin, and it
Oh,
also
okay.
is a word for light.
Oh.
Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at?
That is
Oh, when people talk about having an aura type thing.
Mhm.
well, it's spelled
Yeah.
O-R. It's iron.
No. I want to see it in Genesis. Where is it? Where the where she?
Genesis 3:21.
Okay, thank you. Because everybody got to be on the same page here.
Yeah, it said coats of skin and dress them.
Yeah, coats of skin and clothes.
Start at 14.
Me? Read?
Yeah, read out.
Okay. 14. Genesis 3:14.
Loud.
Genesis 3:14. And Yahuwah Elohim said to the Nahash, because you have done this, you are cursed more than all livestock and more than every beast of the field. On your belly you are to go and eat dust all the days of your life. I put enmity between you and your woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall crush your head, and you shall crush his heel.
So now he's talking to this thing, this thing that interfered with the tranquility of Yaakov and Adam. And so he said, I got something for you.
To the woman he said, I greatly increase your sorrow and your conception. bring forth children in pain, and your desires for your husband, and he does rule over you. And to the man he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree which I commanded you, saying, do not eat of it. Cursed is the ground because of you. In your toil you are to eat of it all the days of your life. And the ground shall bring forth thorns and thistles for you.
So verse 16 pretty much tells you that this is something that's going to happen to most women. In your conception, there's going to be some sorrow and some pain. And when you bring it forth your birth, it's not going to be a natural, smooth thing. You're going to go through some stuff. And then when you do, you will always have a desire to rule over your man, but your man's going to rule over you. And so there's a problem that we often see in relationships where the woman's always wanting to be the boss and the man's like, oh no, I'm the boss. And so it's always a fight. It's a struggle. And instead of us working together, because of this curse, the man feels like I'm the head. And the woman's like, no, I'm the head. And that struggle started there and it hasn't ended. And so in verse, it hasn't ended. And in sorrow, man, working in the garden was fun. It was not that hard. We didn't have that. We didn't have weeds and what do you call it? Thistles.
And that's why we have men working so hard nowadays and women working so hard nowadays because
and you're working in, you know what? As I get older, I sweat easier. I go outside and there's like buckets of water coming down my face.
And on top of that, in the garden, he probably didn't even have to work for his food. He said he got to bring the bread out the ground or something like that. He said
this stuff was just there. Just reach out and grab someone.
Yeah, right. Now you have to get food out of the ground. You have to work hard for your food.
Okay, and in the sweat of your face you shall eat your bread, and you shall return to the ground from which you came. And verse 20.
Verse 20. And the man called his wife's name Hoa because wait.
No, you're right.
Okay. And the man called his wife's name Hoa because she became the mother of all living. 21.
Keep going.
Okay. And Yahuwah Elohim made coats of skin for the man and his wife and dressed them. And Yahuwah Elohim said, see, the man has become like one of us to know good and evil. And now lets he put out his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat it and live forever.
And so we did develop something, and we in our humanistic view, we try to find that and we develop it. We know that we can do some things that are really, really good. You see some of the things that man does in humanity. It's like, man, that man really worked for the good of humanity. But then you can see some people that can do some things that are so wicked. You're like, who even thinks of that? Who thinks of that? Look at some of the atrocities that happened to us as slaves. And I go back and I'm looking, I'm like,
where was your mind?
Who thinks to cut somebody's foot in half because he ran away? Who thinks to do, and you just name some of the things. It was like, I would never think, I'm like, really, the wickedness that we have learned to do, and that's just flesh on flesh. And then we learn to do seances and other things and start conjure up things that are like, no, I don't think that somebody said that the movie studios are hiring individuals, so that they can look at some of the horror movies and and judge them and tell them which ones are the best. And you get paid to do this. Oh, wow. Well, who's going to get paid to sit there and see some of the wickedness that they're putting out there today? Right. Once they went past The Shining and The Exorcist and some of those things I've seen, I don't want to see anything any worse. All right, so here we go. Let's talk about this clothing, the skins of coats of skin. This is out of Genesis. So I went back to Bereshiyth because I don't want to say, oh, well, that was out of Jubilees. Let's go back and look at the 66 books. What is this, son? The skin.
The word is orb. It's iron. Vav resh. Here. Orb. Iron vav resh. And it means skin, but it's also it's a word for light. It's the root word of light, orb. And so it is a covering. It's like light is supposed to cover us, and that's what that word connotates.
You hear that, Adrian? He put light back on him. He turned the light on.
So they lost the light with the sin, and he had to replace the light.
What'd you say, Adrian?
I can barely hear that. I kind of gave up on hearing.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. We need microphones. So the word is orb. And that is the light that Yah says, you've lost your light. So I'm going to give you fresh light. So whatever they put on was more than just skin. It was something to represent light. So it is skin, like from an animal?
Whatever skin. It's skin. It means skin. Or.
And that's from Genesis 20. That's Genesis 21, the word
21.
3. Coats of some type of skin, but it's also can be interpreted as light. All right, let's go back to Jubilees and finish up that chapter in Jubilees. Where are we at? 20, 30. Were we at 30?
We were at 28.
28.
And on the day on which Adam went forth from the garden, he offered as a sweet savor and an offering frankincense and gabalum and statice and spices in the morning, with the rising of the sun from the day when he covered his shame. And on that day was closed the mouth of all beasts and cattle and of all birds and all whatsoever walks and whatsoever moves, so that they could no longer speak, for they had all spoken one with another, with one lip and with one tongue. And he sent out of the garden of Eden all flesh that was in the Garden of Eden, and all flesh was scattered according to its kind and according to its types into the places which he had created for them.
Okay, so according to Jubilees 29,
Animals could talk.
3:29, we already know that this one animal was talking to Eve, Chua. And some people would be like, isn't that kind of strange that an animal was talking?
That's what I'm saying.
And no one said anything? Like, no one ever says that, well, maybe all the animals could talk. According to Jubilees, they could. And he shut their mouths and stopped them from talking. So at that point, Jubilees 3:29, it says, and they all spoke with one to another, with one lip or one language. And he shut down their language so no one could speak. No animal could speak anymore. I find it interesting that some people can literally look like they have that Mr. Dr. Doolittle thing about them, where they can almost talk to animals. But and there's some animals that you can still see that they can speak. Gorillas.
They try to communicate.
No, they don't try to communicate.
No,
they talk. They literally.
And birds.
They do. Yeah, but gorillas literally do sign language. Parrots actually talk.
Yeah.
I used to know someone that had 3 or 4 of them, and they like, Well, they really be saying it. That was a curse word. But he taught his animal, he taught them to curse. That would be something that the heathen would do. All right. So he sent them out of the garden.
Yeah.
Verse 30.
And he sent out of the garden all flesh that was in the Garden of Eden, and all flesh was scattered according to its kinds, and according to its types into the places which had been created for them. And to Adam alone did he give wherewithal to cover his shame of all the beasts and cattle. On this account it is prescribed on the heavenly tablets as touching all those who know the judgment of Torah, that they should cover their shame and should not uncover themselves as the other nations uncover themselves.
Okay, verse 32. On this account, it is subscribed in the heavenly tablets as to touching all those who know the judgment of Torah, that they should cover their shame. We don't walk around butt naked, exposing ourselves. We should know, Israelites, we should know to cover ourselves. And we should not uncover ourselves like the heathen. That's what it says right there. Like the other nations. Because the other nations, I promise you, you don't like winter. When winter's over and spring come and hit 50 degrees and you go outside and the heathen walking around butt naked. They're like, it's summertime. It's like, wait a minute, the temperature's just rising a little bit. And they're throwing off their clothes. And they're coming out with almost nothing. When it hit 80, let's go down to the shore because they can't wait to expose themselves. And that's natural for them. Verse 33.
And on the new moon of the 4th month, Adam and his woman went forth from the Garden of Eden, and they dwelt in the land of Eldah, in the land of their creation. And Adam called the name of his woman Chua, and they had no son till the first Jubilee. And after this he knew her. Now he tilled the land. Now he tilled the land as had been instructed in the Garden of Eden.
Now, I find this very interesting as we finish this chapter out, that they don't do a lot about the garden being shut down. But at this point, Yah shut down the garden. He put an angel at the gate and he shut it down. He literally shut it down so that no one was allowed back into the garden. So we have things that look like the garden. We have things that look really gorgeous, but we'll never see that again. The next time we see something that represents the garden will be a new heaven and a new earth. And then during this time, not only were they banished from the garden, they also caused a ripple effect. Not only were the animals affected, but the land also was affected. And so you see that it said something about the animals losing their tongue, their language, and they went into, they fled. The ones that were in the garden fled the garden. Not only was the land now giving out thorns and thistles, it became contaminated by sin. So all of the creation that was put together by Yah, when he got done, he said that not only was everything good, when he created man, he said it was very good. And then we went and stepped in it and just destroyed it. And so what occurred outside the garden yet to be revealed. We'll talk about that maybe a little bit later on the next time we get together. But we saw what happened in the garden, and we knew that the contamination of sin erupted, and a few other things happened that I need to talk about. There had to be a sacrifice for sin. And since that sin occurred, Yah initiated the first sacrifice. Every year following, there was a sacrifice that we had to start submitting offerings to Yah because we had become contaminated, and we had to continue asking for some type of what we would call atonement. And Yah initiated it and started laying it out, setting a plan for redemption, a plan for reconciliation, a plan for us to be restored. We need to keep going back to the root and finding all of the things that caused us to be pulled away from the Father and getting ourselves back in order. So this was just to show, just to bear going back to the root and saying, okay, so this is where we first got messed up. And you're going to see that we continue to fall in love with sin, and Yah is constantly giving us a game plan to come back to him. So he initiated the first by giving us that sacrifice, and later in life he's going to do even more by initiating a step of total reconciliation by initiating the sacrifice of his only begotten son, and then we believing in his son and accepting the sacrifice that Yah gave. Do you realize that one of the things that kept them alive was that they accepted the covering that Yah first gave them? They didn't reject it. They took it and they walked with it. And so when Yah gives us a plan, we have to go on and learn to accept his plan and walk in it. So one of the most gracious things that Yah did was he said that when you eat of this, you will start dying. And this man and his woman started dying from that point on. They didn't die initially, but the dying process began. When we're birthed on this planet, something happens with us. We start dying. We don't start to live, we start to die. Even in our growing process and growing up, we see something happening to our body. It's constantly weeding off or dying as it's growing. And so Yah has given us a plan to show us what they call a redemption plan. So, okay. So we use this. This was a longer lesson than normal, but I just wanted to kind of show you the root, and we start trying to figure out how to get back to living a righteous life. I got to go. My throat's going, and it's been a wonderful time, I believe. Hopefully, I know that we have people that were reading and they weren't right at the mic. Maybe perhaps this week we'll look for a mic, so when we're talking, they will be everyone can hear them.
Or next time I can bring my laptop so I can.
We can all
yeah.
So, hallelujah, praise Yah. We're blessed to have you Toto Rubal for being here and joining us today. We'll see you soon next week, Yah willing. Shalom. And I'm going to say shalom again. And one more time, Shabbat Shalom. Welcome and enjoy your week. Hallelujah.
Shalom.
What was that?